Welcome to the SeeItNow podcast, a 15-minute review of a movie near you. My name is Michael DeMinico. I'm a former film teacher, current filmmaker.
And I'm Don Gibson. I am a current film teacher and sometimes screenwriter.
Don, what are we reviewing today?
We are going to watch Elf, a film that was made 20 years ago, thus the 20th anniversary of it, and an opportunity to make more money. And it stars Will Ferrell as the elf who realizes he's not an elf, but a human, and must leave the North Pole and find his daddy.
I've never been more excited. Let's cue the Grateful Dead.
Saint Stephen with a rose, in and out of the garden he goes. Country garland in the wind.
My favorite part of the movie, it's without a doubt, it's Will Ferrell's performance as the elf. He does not leave the bit. He is consistently a young kid in this like kind of doofy man's body in this extremely doofy outfit. And I think that's actually what makes a good comedic actor, right? Jordan Peele, Dave Chappelle, Sacha Baron Cohen, they all stay with the bit. They never leave. You know, I tell you, nothing more annoying than in an SNL sketch when Jimmy Fallon breaks character and does a little giggle. I mean, it just kills the bit. Yeah, I mean, maybe people think it's kind of funny for a second, but I mean, a true comedic actor sticks to the bit. And, Ferrell, I think, does that so effectively. My understanding is that he does not improvise a lot in this film. There's actually a lot of part of some difficulty he was actually having with the director because the director wanted to have him go with the script.
You know, what you're saying about Favreau, the director, making him do what he did, I think that's what makes Will Ferrell great. When he's left alone and just saying, hey, Will, just do your bits, I think he just slides into the abyss with that stuff. But Favreau, I mean, the writing is great, but Will Ferrell's delivery is amazing. And as you said, the costume designing, the set designing, it's all based on the Rankin Bass films, you know, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Frosty. And it's so exact. The details of the Santa shop are exactly like Rankin Bass films, where everything is like really colorful little bits, and then everything else is just gray, which is exactly how they animated it, like whatever it is, like 50, 60 years ago.
I mean, my favorite part of that scene is the narwhal, and Ferrell was sort of saying hello to the...
Yeah, that's the voice of Jon Favreau, the director, who also plays the doctor that tells James Caan that he's actually his kid.
He does sneak himself into the movie. Now, when you look at this movie, you know, what were things that just sort of some shortcomings of Elf that maybe if you haven't seen it in a while, you might be aware of, and maybe it will deter you from actually going to the movie screening in New York City?
Depends what your intent is. If you're going to have some gummies and watch this film, I think you're fine because you'll laugh at anything anyway.
Definitely a dummy movie. Go ahead.
It's a gummy movie, but it's also totally, it's great with kids. It's totally kid friendly, which maybe is a shortcoming of it because the last 15, 20 minutes is just, it's all sugary stuff about the Christmas spirit, and which is fine. It's a Christmas movie, but there's really no gags in the end. There's a couple of kind of weak ones. Whereas in the opening, when we're in North Pole, it's all with this great animation. It's not CGI. It's really effective, awesome animation. And it's a throwback to these Rankin Bass films. And there's so many jokes that are just, that every whatever minute there's a new joke, and it keeps going all the way through the movie except for the last 15 minutes. So if you miss the ending, don't worry, it all works out.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I thought the ending is just sort of this like cluster F of various things. You have to hope that your gummies are peaking at that moment to even care for what's going on. The ending was ridiculous. Suddenly there was this like group of horsemen like following them around randomly, and they're like an antagonist that they introduced in the final 10 minutes of the movie. I have no connection to that. Really, you could probably stop watching the movie at around the Beef and Cheese Park. I mean,
well, that's the thing, as you said, these guys, this horse gang that lives in Central Park, that it's some sort of joke that they had, they thought of, but we never even heard of them before the scene starts. Like, who's this enemy that's there? And the other thing that really irritated me about that scene is there's no snow. So they're running around the park, and they barely have, it just doesn't look Christmassy at all.
I noticed that. No snow. It's very bizarre. The ending is just so crazy.
Yeah. Well, Christmas, because they get the Kringle 3000 powered up, then the Christmas spirit lives on, and it's great. But but there's no jokes. That's the whole point. Yeah, I'm in this for the laughs, and the last 20 minutes, you're just like, whatever.
And they turn it into like an action, like a like a Lord of the Rings,
Weird
Central Park or something like that. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't read.
it kind of reminds me in many ways of like a Monty Python movie. And the great thing about Monty Python is not really, anything specific. It's just there's so many good lines that you like to repeat. In this film, there's just so many scenes that I repeat all the time, and because I think they're really funny and everyone else knows them. So I think the writing and the delivery of the lines and everything, that is, except for the last 15 minutes, is, there's great scenes with Will Ferrell and Peter Dinklage, who plays an elf. Well, he's not an elf. No, he's a small person, but Will Ferrell's convinced he's an elf, and he makes all these small gags at him. But Peter Dinklage's reaction, getting so angry, and then eventually, attacking Will Ferrell, it's just so well delivered. It's like an angry little elf and all these really funny lines. And that's what I think makes the movie so successful.
Right. I mean, it's like classic slapstick. And you see that also in the Artie Lang scene, which we keep referencing with the beef and cheese line, which is probably my favorite line.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just sort of straight out of like a Chaplin. And it just goes to show that, like, people will laugh at someone falling down. And that is just still the gold standard for comedy, is like, man, you throw someone on the ground, you're going to get some laughs. And I think this movie does that pretty effectively. I have to say also that the cast is great. The acting,
I totally agree.
James Caan is awesome. I think the Asner, the guy who played Santa.
Yep. Bob
Newhart, great Santa.
And Zooey Deschanel is a great love interest. She's so innocent and beautiful and sweet, and she's like perfect for a Christmas movie.
One of the most interesting things I think cinematically about the movie is that the forced perspective, right? He really used almost all kind of practical effects with Ferrell, like as like being this big character, and then the elves being super small. I thought that was like kind of a cool.
It's a lesson in great, thoughtful perspective film shooting. I mean, they really, as you said, this isn't CGI. They just figured out how to frame it and put, obviously Will Ferrell in the foreground, a lot of people in the background, but it looked like they weren't. And he did, like when he sits in like the elf bathroom or the shower or in the classroom, he looks massive, and it's really effective. And it's for a kid, for us, we're obviously, we can figure it out. But for a kid, it looks like really he's a giant man in an elf world. And they, you believe that stuff when you're a kid.
We grade from 1 to 10, right? I would say 10, my favorite movie of all time is There Will Be Blood. 1, I'm not going to lie, I agree with you on Maverick. Top Gun is a
wow. Thank you.
And so I'm going to say that's my 1. So we grade on a scale. And what is your scale?
You just took my 1.
I want your 1.
Okay.
I like your 1.
Thank you. Well, my 10 is Aguirre, Wrath of God, but you know what? I like your 10 too, so I'll also take There Will Be Blood. But there's nothing redeeming at all about Maverick, Top Gun. Nothing.
So if we are looking at this movie from the perspective of someone who's in New York City and wants to take their kid out to the movies, what would you give this movie? What would be the grade, Don?
Well, bringing a kid to the movie, it's it's hard. It's a 9.5. It's in that. For me, as a person, I would say it's like an 8, 7.5. I mean, it's a film that I could watch and just laugh. So, I mean, you got to laugh. So, yes.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's a nice way to build a relationship with your son or daughter around some pretty silly moments. The beef and cheese line being one of my favorites. So I would say 9.5 if I was a parent. And no, I have no news about that. And I would say as far as an adult, if I were to go solo, sans gummies, I would say it's about a 6. I'm not a huge fan of this movie.
I sure mentioning gummies a lot in this one.
Yeah, this movie, if you're an adult, I would say definitely hit the gummies beforehand. And if you're
only in some states,
only in some states, in New York, that's fine. I would say, as a parent, be careful and consume responsibly before going to see.
Oh, don't do it with your children.
No gummies with the children. We're not advocating for that. We are not advocating for gummies with your kids. So I would say see it now. Definitely. We're going to do top 4 Christmas movies of all time.
I would say my number 4 would be Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the original Rankin-Bass film this is based on, because I just love that film. And I saw it last year. It's so messed up. There's so many messed up things that happen in that movie. Santa bullies the reindeer, bullies and makes fun of Rudolph. It's just incredible. It's a Wonderful Life. I love that film. It's so beautiful. My dad loved it, so it's sentimental to me. And Elf would have to be number 2. I'm a big fan of Elf. And my number 1's not a Christmas movie, but it's damn close to a Thanksgiving movie. It's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Incredible film.
I would say my top, I have 3. I didn't get 4. So, I mean, I guess I could throw Elf in there and make it 4, but I don't even think it even belongs. So I'm just going to do 3. I got Scrooged. Very funny. Bill Murray is on fire. I have Christmas Vacation, Chevy Chase's probably best movie of his life, probably the funniest Christmas movie, maybe one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. The shitter is full, one of the best lines in cinema. And then Eyes Wide Shut. Apparently a Christmas.
Eyes Wide Shut. What a pull-up.
Don, we have about 1 minute left. What did you have for lunch or dinner, previous or after the screening of Elf?
What I should have had was the 4 Elf main food groups: candy, candy canes, candy corns, and syrup. But I didn't, and I had sandwiches at home, and I had a couple pieces of toast and melted cheese on it, piece of salami, and a slice of tomato. So 2 open-faced ones of those. They're pretty damn good. Cold beef cheese, delicious.
Well, so I watched this movie over the holiday weekend, and it was quite literally one of the most aggressive eating weekends of my entire life. I had some wonderful food throughout the weekend. I think during this particular time, I was trying to take an off meal. I had a pretty delightful light Caesar salad that I think really suited my current digestive situation. So Elf is screening at the Angelica Theater. It's actually doing a run at the Alamo Drafthouse in Brooklyn. Empire State Building is actually doing a screening of it. Regal Battery Park, Regal Essex Crossing, Regal Union Square is doing a screening. AMC, Empire 25, Regal UA, Kaufman Astoria. So this film is screening everywhere. I hope our review was helpful. This is See It Now, the 50-minute review of a movie near you. My name is Michael DeMinico.
And I'm Don Gibson.
See it in a theater. See it soon, or see Elf if you want. Take your kids to Elf.
In the theater.
It's a funny movie. Let's get the great leg on.
Saint Stephen with a rose, in and out of the garden he goes.